Now let's take a minute here and take this from a Democrat's perspective. So obviously you and I disagree with almost everything that Joe Biden's done, but he won the midterms in historic fashion, only losing 9 seats. I mean, Obama lost 63 in his first midterm, Trump lost 40, Reagan lost 25, I think Clinton lost 42 or something. So they've all lost, and Biden lost 9, right? So he did unbelievable in this last midterm. So clearly there's something there that Democrats or the American people are able to hang on to. And I came across a quote from Hakeem Jeffries, congressman in New York. And he said, if someone were to say that a president had a record of accomplishments like Biden's, the logical response would be that person has had a successful 2-term presidency. So the argument from the Democrats is this guy's done 8 years worth of great stuff in only 2 years. So from a Democrat's perspective, would you say that he has been an effective president?
So from a Democrat's perspective, and this is not a usual thing for me to try to kind of conjure the mind of a partisan Democrat, but yeah, they have accomplished, I guess, a lot of bipartisan legislation over the past year and a half. They had that gun package that Republicans like John Cornyn were very eager to kind of sign on to. They had the so-called Respect for Marriage Act, which attracted a lot of Republican supports. Therefore, that was quote unquote bipartisan. I guess from a Democrat's perspective, because they've been, typically speaking, all out maximalists when it comes to Zelensky and Ukraine. They've been able to kind of ship, tens of billions of dollars of aid over to Ukraine. So I guess in theory, I can see the argument. He's obviously been able to nominate one Supreme Court justice, Ketanji Brown Jackson. He's been able to fill the lower courts with a lot of judges as well. So I guess I see the argument. I mean, I can put myself enough into that mentality where I can see it there. But that obviously is not how I see things. But, I read a lot of kind of these morning newsletters from all the various kind of political magazines. And, some of these liberal writers, you're right, a lot of the liberal writers have talked about the quote unquote historic nature of the first 2 years of the Biden presidency, how he's done more than Barack Obama himself even did in a 2-year term there. So I've heard this refrain now over and over again, and I see what they're talking about. I obviously just see it quite a bit differently.
Yeah, if you're a Democrat and you measure success by amount of money spent, then this is great. I mean, Obama, remember the infrastructure or the bailout was $727 billion, I think, and Biden's passed the $1.9 trillion COVID bill, the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill, the $1 trillion Inflation Reduction Act. Like, we're talking trillions now, when Obama only passed a measly $727 billion that inspired the Tea Party in response, and now we don't do anything. We're going to pivot here, Josh, with our next segment, the second half of our special here, but I just want to end with you on this. Do you think the documents, the classified documents, are enough to force him to exit? / do you think he'll run in 2024? And if not, who do you think the front runner will be for the Democratic Party?
My answer keeps on changing on this question. So in the lead up to the November midterm elections, I was convinced that Joe Biden was not going to run for re-election. It looked like this red wave was coming. Obviously, what we just discussed when it comes to the terrible economy and inflation, he had historically low approval ratings. I think Quinnipiac had him as low as 31% at his nadir, his low point last June or July or so. So I really didn't think he was going to run. Then after the midterm elections, where the red wave did not happen, of course, and the Democrats did much better than expected, I was convinced that he was going to run. And I think what we're seeing here, Mike, I think your next guest will get into this a little bit more, but I think what you're seeing here with these classified documents is kind of a last-ditch effort by some in the deep state, in the law enforcement apparatus, by possibly connected to the DNC itself, who do not want Joe Biden to run, despite the fact that the red wave did not happen, because they see, I think, what you and I just saw in that clip with Afghanistan there, is that this is a corpse, this is a human corpse of a president. And I think some people are really, really trying hard now to take him out. And I'm not sure if they're going to be successful, to be honest with you. But I think it's a live ball. It's a jump ball in basketball terms. So we'll see which way we'll see which way it goes.
I agree with that. For more insight, everyone go to the Josh Hammer Show everywhere you download podcasts, and obviously check out his articles on Newsweek. Josh, wonderful to talk to you as always, brother. Thank you. Hey, thanks for watching that clip. That was from our special about the first 2 years of the Joe Biden presidency and just reflecting on all the failures. If you feel hopeless about the moment and about what's next, if I can forward you to our podcast, it's called Politics by Faith. And this is the premise of the podcast, is we take these moments of anxiety and hopelessness and we find what is good and true. And you leave that feeling very good, I assure you. So if you can download that podcast and give it a chance and check it out, it's called Politics by Faith. Anywhere you download, listen to podcasts.